The movie begins in a rural area of France, where a farmer is working on chores. It was in 1941. At this time, Nazis conquered France. The famous colonel, known as the Jew Hunter, or by his name Landa, comes to this farmer's house to hunt for Jews. The colonel's having a good conversation with the farmer. He gives a compliment about his 4 beautiful daughters. They offer him a wine, but the colonel prefers a dairy milk instead. In the middle of their conversation, the colonel asks to switch their language to English, and they begin to speak in English. After having casual conversation, the colonel manages to convince him to tell the truth. The farmer, having no choice, tells him that there are Jews' families underground so that he can protect his family. He points him to the approximate location of the underground where the Jews are settled. The colonel invites the other soldiers and shoots the Jews with no mercy. But among the Jews, one woman manages to escape and runs far away. The next chapter of the movie goes to 3 years later in 1944. We see redneck Lieutenant Aldo giving command to his unit called Jews, American Commando. It is a group of soldiers which have a mission to kill and bring fear to the Nazis. He explains to them that the normal standards of military conduct will not apply because the Nazis don't show any humanity and they don't deserve any humanity in return. He also tells them that each and every man in his command owes him a debt of 100 Nazi scalps. In the next sequence of the movie, we see Adolf Hitler being very tempered over his 2 military commands for not being able to deal with the Jews' American Commando. Then they tell him that there is one survivor called Boots from the commando units. Hitler then interviews the man. He is the only survivor. His entire team was ambushed and killed by the American Jew soldiers called the Bastards. When Hitler asked Boots if they marked him like they did the other survivors, Boots shows him the swastika carved into his forehead. Boots' story is told in flashback. All of the soldiers have already been killed except for 3. Boots, Sergeant Werner Ratman, and a 3rd soldier. Rain has Ratman come forward and threatens to have him killed if he does not disclose the whereabouts and information on a nearby Nazi patrol. Ratman is adamant that he will not provide information that could possibly harm other German soldiers, and Rain calls for Sergeant Donny Donowitz, known to German soldiers as the Bear Jew, to beat Ratman to death with a baseball bat, which he proceeds to do, which very much delights all of the bastards. The 2nd survivor is also shot dead in a moment of excitement. Rain then interrogates the non-English speaking Private Butts. Corporal Willem Wicke acts as their interpreter. Utterly demoralized by the beating to death of his sergeant, Private Butts quickly provides the bastards with all they need to know, after which Lieutenant Rain lets Private Butts go. Butts go, but not before carving a swastika into Butts' forehead with his own customized Bowie knife. As a branding, swastika carving is Rain's trademark. The scene ends with Donowitz commenting to Rain that he is becoming quite good at carving swastikas. Rain responds, "You know how you get to Carnegie Hall, don't you? Practice." The 3rd chapter of the movie will be German Night in Paris in June 1944. Shosanna, the girl that escaped at the beginning of the movie, she now owns a cinema in the middle of Paris. A German soldier introduces himself as Frederick Roller and starts talking with her. She introduces herself as Emmanuel Meme. She somehow manages to change her identity. Frederick Roller seems to be interested in her. After looking at her ID, he wishes her good night and leaves the place. In the next day, while Shosanna is reading a book in a restaurant, Frederick Roller passes by and sees her suddenly. He stops there and starts to chat with her. She doesn't look happy to meet him. While he is talking to her, she learns that Frederick is a famous German soldier. A lot of people ask for his signature, like someone famous. He tells her that he killed hundreds of enemy soldiers and this makes him famous in the city. Shosanna, being angry, leaves the place and goes away. Next, Frederick invites her to a party where there are many Nazi military officials. Shosanna gets the chance to meet some of the higher officials of Nazi. She goes to the party in order to take her revenge on the Nazis that killed her whole family. Frederick plans to hold an event in her cinema about the Nazis. At the party, she gets the chance to meet the famous Landa that killed her parents. At first, she becomes so nervous, but she controls her emotions and manages to talk to him about an event that will take place in her cinema. The event will be led by the Jews hunter that killed her family. Later, she plans to burn all the Nazi officials in her family. She tells her plan to her boyfriend. Not having any choice, he agrees with her plan. In the 4th chapter of the movie, the British have also learned of the Nazi leadership's plan to attend the premiere and dispatch a British officer, Archie Hickox, to Paris to lead Operation Kino, an attack on the cinema with the aid of the Bastards and a German double agent, an actress by the name of Brigitte von Hammersmark. Hickox meets with General Ed Fenwick and Winston Churchill and is chosen for the mission based on his expertise of German filmmakers. Brigitte von Hammersmark, Mark arranges to meet Hickox and 2 of the Bastards. Wiki and the psychotic Hugo Stiglitz, who defected from the Germans after killing 13 Gestapo in violent ways in the basement of a French tavern to arrange their plans. The only problem is that the night of the rendezvous is also the occasion of a German staff sergeant named Wilhelm celebrating the birth of his son with his soldier comrades. One of the German soldiers present strikes up a conversation with Hickox and notices that his accent is odd. An SS major, Dieter Hellstrom, who is in the tavern as well, also notices the odd accent. Hellstrom joins Hickox and von Hammersmark and plays one round of a guessing game with them. He offers to buy the table a round of drinks. Unfortunately, Hickox betrays himself when he gives the wrong three-fingered order for whiskey, holding up his ring, middle and pointer fingers instead of his thumb, pointer finger and middle finger, and the SS officer recognizes their deception. Hickox, Wiki, Stichblitz, and all of the Germans, as well as the French tavern owner, subsequently kill each other in the resulting 15-second shootout. Just then, Rain and several of the bastards arrive, and a standoff ensures between them and Wilhelm. After Wilhelm agrees to surrender to the bastards, Bridget retrieves Hickox's pistol and fires at Wilhelm, killing him because Wilhelm had learned that Bridget was working for the enemy. The wounded Bridget allows herself to be captured by Rain and the bastards. A little later, Rain angrily interrogates Bridget at a local animal clinic where he takes her for medical treatment for her bullet wound. He pokes a finger into the wound to make her explain the debacle in the tavern and then tell him about Operation Kino. Rain decides to continue the operation against the cinema. Rain picks two of his best men, Donowitz and Omar, to make use of suicide bombs, and the three of them will pose as Italian filmmakers, escorting Bridget to the event. To explain the cast on her leg, Bridget will claim to have broken it in a mountain climbing accident. Colonel Landa, who is now an SD officer, investigates the carnage at the French pub and finds one of Bridget von Hammersmark's shoes left behind, and also an autographed napkin which Bridget had signed for Wilhelm's son, realizing that she was there and may have been wounded. He also identifies the bodies of the two German-born bastards, noting their reputation to disguise themselves as German soldiers to ambush squads. Chapter 5 of the movie. The following evening, Lando approaches Bridget and Rain in the cinema lobby and is able to easily see through their disguises, as Rain, Donowitz, and Ulmer cannot speak fluent Italian or German. He questions Bridget alone and makes her try on the shoe he had retrieved from the tavern. It is a perfect fit. He strangles and kills her as a traitor and orders the arrest of Rain. As Rain is driven off in a truck, he discovers one of his men, Private Udovich, has also been captured and is in the truck with him. Landa reveals himself to be a turncoat. While speaking with Rain and Udovich in the privacy of a closed restaurant, he tells them that 4 major Nazi leaders must all be killed to end the terrible war immediately. They are all attending Nation's Pride, and he is prepared to let the assassination continue. For a price, he has no intention of helping end the war, only to be tried by a Jewish tribunal for war crimes and end up facing execution. In order to help end the war, he wants to make a deal, one Rain cannot authorize, but his commanding officer can. Landa has his radio operator help Rain reach his general, states the terms of his deal. He wants a full military pension and benefits under his current rank, the Congressional Medal of Honor for everyone involved in the operation, American citizenship, and a home on Nantucket Island. Rain is placed on the radio and his general tells him that Landa and his radio operator will drive him and Udovich in a truck to American lines, then surrender to them, whereupon Rain will drive the truck the rest of the way to base and bring Landa and the operator to him for debriefing. Meanwhile, during the showing of Nation's Pride, Shosanna and her assistant Marcel are manning the projection booth when he tells her it is time. It is revealed in a flashback to a few days ago, which shows Marcel filming a close-up of Shosanna's face making a speech in English. They then force a local camera shop owner to develop the film by threatening to kill him and his family if he doesn't, and Shosanna edits the complete film on the 4th and final film reel of the movie and leaves them in the projection booth for them to run when the time is right. Flashing back to the present, Marcel says that he needs to lock the auditorium and go behind the screen. Left behind, Donowitz and Omar Ulmer leave their seats and exit the auditorium, heading determined to kill Hitler by themselves. Spies on the 2 guards watching the entrance to Hitler's opera box from the nearest restroom. Shosanna loads the doctored 4th reel of Nation's Pride onto the projector camera as Marcel locks the auditorium doors, sliding the safety locks at the tops and bottoms of the doors into place, and then slides a heavy iron crowbar through the door handles, further barring them. He steps behind the screen where Shosanna had placed her entire stack of flammable nitrate film. Shosanna pulls a lever to switch the projector to the doctored reel on a Q symbol in the film. Watching from behind the screen, Marcel lights up a cigarette and waits. Soon, Zola, who is uncomfortable with the way he is still watching. He is portrayed killing Americans in the film, leaves the cinema auditorium, and makes his way to the projectionist's room to flirt with Shosanna. She is deeply concerned at his intrusion and tells him to leave. However, the sperm zoller pushes his way into the room and angrily confronts Shosanna about her treatment of him, warning her that she's no longer in a position to do so, conditioned to disrespect him. Needing to get Zola out of the way, she asks him to lock the door, dropping a subtle hint: "We don't have much time." Soon as Zola's back is turned to her, she pulls out a small gun from her purse and shoots him in the back, mortally wounding him. Quickly, she glances into the auditorium to make sure she wasn't hurt. Suddenly, she hears Olair groan and realizes he's still alive. In an apparent moment of pity, she turns him over, and he shoots her to death before he succumbs to his wounds. At the same time, Donowitz and Ulmer are preparing their ambush to take out the opera box guards. Donowitz disguises himself as a waiter, delivering a glass of wine. Of champagne, the ambush goes off without a hitch and they kill both guards and then steal their machine guns. Meanwhile, we see Hitler greatly enjoying the battle scene in the movie, where Solder is taking out numerous American soldiers by himself. But his joy comes to a quick end when Solder's challenge in the movie is answered with the changes Shosanna made to the large image of Shosanna's face appears on the screen, and she tells the audience that they're all going to die, and she is a Jew, ready to take revenge. On her cue, Rossel flicks his cigarette into the pile of nitrate film behind the screen, igniting it. The fire bursts through the screen, causing pandemonium in the auditorium. Just then, Donowitz and Ulmer burst into Hitler's box and gun down Hitler, Goebbels' secretary and French translator Francesca Mondino, and the other Nazi leaders. As the cinema is engulfed in flames, Donowitz and Ulmer fire randomly into the crowd below them, who are attempting to flee, but escape is impossible, as the auditorium doors are now locked and barred. Finally, the dynamite that Landa had planted in Hitler's box, as well as the dynamite strapped to the bastard's legs, now goes off. The cinema is destroyed in the subsequent inferno, killing everybody inside. The next day, Landa and his radio operator set off with Rain and Jutovic towards the American lines in Normandy, as part of the deal he had made with Rain's commanding officer. At the American lines, he surrenders to Rain and hands over his gun and sword. Rain orders Gudovic to handcuff Landa and suddenly shoots the driver dead, ordering Gudovic to scalp him over Landa's outrage. Protest. Rain reveals that while he appreciates Landa's underhanded deal and all the perks he's secured for himself, he is incensed that, on arriving in America, Landa intended to take off his SS uniform and blend into the American populace, with nobody remembering all the heinous deeds he committed as a Nazi officer. Rain plans to wrestle with Landa, but Landa is not willing to give up his SS uniform. He plans to use it against Landa, but Landa refuses. The film ends with Rain carving a swastika into Landa's forehead. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.